Well, hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Accountants Are Sexy Change My Mind. Today we've got the very lovely, and I hope you're watching this on YouTube because it's a lovely smile, Louise Walpole from Moneypenny. So welcome to the show, Louise.
Hi, Kelly. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Great to have you on. It's been a while. I spotted you at Accountex in Manchester last year. I think you were doing a panel, and I was like, I need you on the show. And now, as we're recording this, as we're recording this, the Accountants Manchester is next week. But there's a couple of reasons I want you on the show. Obviously, Moneypenny is a really interesting product. And I love the way that Moneypenny does their marketing and niches and has owners of different industries as well. And I find that a really interesting concept that could potentially be used elsewhere. So, before we dip into that, do you want to give people a little bit of a background as to how you're working in Moneypenny and where you've kind of come from?
Sure, yeah. Is this my 60-second elevator pitch?
Yeah, that's it. You go.
Go. So I've been here at Moneypenny for 6 years. I head up our finance sector. What that means is I onboard all of our accountancy clients of every size, from sole practitioner, mid-size, top 100. And we answer phone calls for lots of firms, in fact, 11,000 companies. Not all accountants, because we've got all the different verticals you mentioned. So, yeah, we answer phone calls and we answer chats, and I make sure for my sector it's done really well.
Wow. And you've been looking after accountants all this time for the entire of your journey with Moneypenny, is that right?
No, last 3 years it's been accountancy, and prior to that it's what we call professional services. So it was IT, software, recruitment, anyone that didn't fall into one of our 5 sector verticals. I was head of the professional service sector.
Right, okay, so 3 years in accountancy. And how are you finding this industry? Is it much different to the one that you looked after before?
No, not really. If anything, I enjoy it more. When my director came to me 3 years ago and said, would you like to head up the finance sector? I said, oh, what does that encompass? Accountants. I was like, oh, wow. And we've got an accountant here. He's very quiet, sits in his office, very nice office. He's a lovely guy. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's going to be interesting for someone like me to work in that sector. And you know what? I was being judgy too soon. And I said, listen, I'll give it a go. And yeah, I couldn't have been further from it's very different to what I thought.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like there is definitely this crisis at the moment where accountancy and accounting is so much more sexy than people ever anticipate. So there is this image disparage, I can't think of the word. But there is this separation between what it actually is and what people perceive it to be. I was definitely there. I thought, no, accountants, they're all just stuffy. Like, that can't possibly be an interesting career. So how wrong were we?
And I don't think it helps because one of my sisters is an accountant.
Right, okay.
And if I want to communicate, so I've got 2 sisters. My older sister is a facilities manager, customer service manager kind of role, and the other one is an accountant. And now I have 2 very different relationships, and they won't mind me saying this. When I want to speak to Catherine, my older sister, we pick up the phone, we do it when we're in the car commuting, and we chat, catch up. When I want to speak to my accountant sister, I never pick up the phone because A, she doesn't answer. Sorry, all accountants out there. And B, when she answers, she gives me the no, and I go, I'm about to interrupt you. So if I send her a WhatsApp, hey, how you doing? Boom, I get this much back, War and Peace. If I send her an email, hey, have you got an answer on this or something? Boom, comes the response back. I wouldn't get that on a phone call. So I don't think it helped my impression of an accountant in my family. I cannot say like all accountants in the universe have got the personality of my sister, but coupled with my company accountant here, they're the 2 closest to me. That gave me the is that sector for me.
It's funny, isn't it, how people choose to communicate? I'm actually much more on your accounting side of your family. In like how I prefer to communicate. If somebody rings me, I'm like, oh, please don't ring me. I don't want that. unless the call is organised and I am ready for it, like I don't want it. So I like text. I'm like, yeah, I can get my head around this thing, what they've asked. I can think about it for a second. I can respond, well, and I can communicate better. So I'm on the opposite side where I think most people would think that I'd be chatting all day, and I don't. I don't like it.
That's probably because your day job is that. So when it's in your own time, you're like, I need to just have some headspace.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So you weren't always in this space, as you said. You come from a small business background. So what were you doing then?
So gosh, yeah, so 6 years here. And before that, I was a small business owner for 13 years in Chester. And I owned a recruitment agency. I started it from scratch. And so I had no clients, no candidates, no office, just a spare bedroom. And I'd earned my stripes with a national agency and thought, I could make a difference. I can do this on my own. So off I went, had a small business. In the 13 years, I had 2 accountants. I feel like I outgrew the first one because they were not being very proactive with me. They would just do the minimum, but not help me on my way as a growing business. So I flipped and changed accountants. But then I would also use Moneypenny to answer my phone calls. Because as a recruiter, we were out interviewing, we were out on site, and I didn't want to have to answer every single phone call coming into my tiny business, making me ready and available to cold calls and, people I didn't want to speak to in that moment because I needed to get my stuff together or whatever. So I was a customer of Moneypenny for many years, and then I came here for a meeting, and Lisa, who's my director, said, we could do with someone like you here, but not to do recruitment, to do X, Y, Z. So that was it.
That sounds interesting.
Have I done my time as a small business owner? Do I want to work for a great brand, great people? And I thought, you know what? I think I have done. It's not easy having to do every hat all the time, even buying the toilet rolls, because I had no one to buy it. When I took a little office on and there were like 4 of us, I was still the person that was, my computer doesn't work. There's no toilet roll in the toilet. It was like everything. Yeah.
And you've got all your high value tasks that you need to get done. But actually what you need to focus on right now for somebody in the office is toilet roll. It's such a screwy head place, isn't it? So I also come from a recruitment background. I spent a chunk of my time, maybe 7 or 8 years in recruitment.
Did you?
Yeah, and I loved it. It was a great job. It was great. Really, really hard work. And I don't think people appreciate just how much effort goes into every single thing. I would be arriving at 8. I wouldn't be leaving till 6. I had 2 kids. I was a single parent at the time for a chunk of it as well. So I was putting everything into it. The rewards are brilliant. The rewards are fantastic. But by God, you have to earn them.
The highs are great, but the lows, oh wow. Yeah. And like you say, and that doesn't surprise me actually now you've said that, because you have to have a lot of resilience, a lot of grit and determination, and someone that I had a date with years ago said, oh, you're in recruitment, oh, you type if you because you're so aggressive. I was like, oh really? And he said, if you kill, you eat. And I'll never forget that.
If you kill, you eat. Love it. Oh, what I remember is I preferred permanent recruitment.
I preferred the temporary.
Yeah, so I preferred permanent because it was a longer sales process. You really got to understand everybody in the business, and there was more relationship kind of building. And more often than not, if you place someone, they would turn up.
Correct.
If you worked on the temp desks, chances are they wouldn't turn up.
Correct. But then there's pros and cons to both, isn't there? So my passion was temporary, and I did temporary for 7 years at this national agency, and the fast pace of it every morning and all throughout the whole day. And then when I set up my own agency, I was like, right, I need to do both. And so I enjoyed both for different reasons. But yeah, it's very, very hardworking.
after you decided, you came in for this meeting at Moneypenny, and they said we could do something like you here, and you kind of joined in. Like, did you? Why did you think that Moneypenny was such a fantastic brand to enough to leave what you're up to and go and join them? What experience did you have with Moneypenny before you joined?
So the only experience I had was knowledge of them being in this area. So my business was in Chester and Moneypenny's in Wrexham. Wrexham's now very famous. Thank you, Mr. Ryan Reynolds, football, Netflix. I knew of the reputation, and and they never recruited through recruitment agencies. They always managed to do it smugly on their own. I've never said this out loud. So I used to ring them and say, "Oh, can I recruit for you? Can I?" And they never needed help from outside recruiters. And I was like, what is your secret sauce? Why are you managing to get a lot of people without my help? Like, Aaron, you need my help. No, they did not. So that intrigued. Yeah, rude. That intrigued me. And yeah, anyone that I ever spoke to that worked at Moneypenny or had worked at Moneypenny just had wonderful things to say. So I thought, that's weird. Where's the dirt? Where's the tea? I found out this morning is the new Gen Z phrase. Dish the tea. I couldn't find any tea on Moneypenny. So I thought, it must be a really good place. So, and then I was a customer and I rang them and I said, you need to answer my phone calls. And the people that I dealt with to set my account up and my regular person that used to be like my receptionist was there for like, I think I used Moneypenny for 8-9 years. Well, she's still here. She's here still in this building.
Wow, okay, cool.
So that longevity of a relationship was a big tick for.
When, as a small business owner, when you kind of outsource something like call taking or messaging services or even like PAs and things like that, handing things over is so scary. Like, especially if you're the first point of contact for a customer. Like, you need to make a good impression. So, like, how does Moneypenny handle that relationship? Like, what happens behind the scenes to make sure that is done well?
And you're asking the best person, because I used to test my own line when I was a Moneypenny. Not all that. I mean, obviously, I let go after a couple of. But when I thought, oh, that's a great idea. It's quite reasonable cost, but let's trial it, which we do. The 1 week trial. So, and that helps you dip your toe in before you've made the whole. Yeah, we're going to go for it. So, we did the trial, and then I thought they're just giving me the best people for the week. So I still was very like, I smell something.
That's your curious mind.
Yeah. People. But that's what visitors say. When visitors come to this building and we sit people and you can listen and meet people. Visitors say, you've just sat me with the best people. I think I've lost you on signal, Kelly.
No, I'm there.
Yeah, that's sorry. So visitors that come here say, you've just showcased your best people. But I said, pick anyone in the department and I'll sit you with them, because they've all had the same training. They're all of a similar ilk. They just want to go that extra mile. So when I was, so I did the trial, and then a few weeks later, I thought, I'm just going to keep testing it. So I'd get my phone and ring my office number and pretend I was a customer and go. But what I didn't know is Moneypenny has system memory. So every time you ring, your number pops on their screen. So I was ringing in all these different voices, pretending I was a company wanting recruitment. I go, oh, hello, it's Mrs. Jane Smith. And they'd go, is that you, Louise? So I got rumbled quite quick.
I would never say it. No.
No, it's not me. How'd you get that? So even back then, they've got amazing tech behind the scenes, and that's how we can be great for our clients. So when our clients say, yes, answer my calls, and then they go like that, like I did, I can relate to that. But when I try and share with them, listen, when your clients are ringing, we know it's them before they've even taken their first breath. But we don't jump in and go, oh, hi, is that Kelly? We say, oh, good morning, ABC accountants. And the person will say, oh, it's John from such and such. And we go, oh, hi, John. Yeah, I know you speak with Tim. I'll put you through to Tim now. So that little bit of sophistication behind the scenes really builds the trust. And you would never know that it's been answered here in Wrexham. So the magic.
They don't all have Welsh accents then?
No, and you know, people do say that. I mean, Wrexham really, because it's so close to the Wirral and Chester and Shrewsbury, the catchment area. Do you know how many people we've got in this building that speak fluent Welsh? So there's 800 in here.
A lot of people. No. How many people? Ah, that's kind of upsetting. It's not let the Welsh language die out, especially if they do so well in educating you as you drive through. It's like you're going through it's like they're teaching you the language as you're like driving through the streets. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But I think you have to do it compulsory at high school, and then you
Yeah,
can drop it. So yeah, people, yeah, there's 3 fluent Welsh speakers. So there
yeah.
isn't really a Welsh accent because we're the
We're all from different places.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that makes perfect sense. So, you said a really interesting stat earlier. And I'm going to recall it, 78%.
Yeah, well done.
So, thank you. And I'm not very good with numbers. So 78% of, no, you're going to have to finish the rest of that because that part's gone. So what was your interesting stat?
78% of potential customers buy from the first responder.
Interesting. So
So
they
in
are
any,
researching.
yeah, and if it's
Look.
any business, I mean, we relate it to accountants,
Mhm.
but any sector, any business, the first person that you speak to, the first human,
Mhm.
78% of people will buy from that company if they're in the market for, be it a dog to be groomed, a recruitment agency, a new accountant.
Yeah.
If you're getting like things like a voicemail or a menu option or whatever it might be,
Mhm.
engage tone, long ring times, blah, 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 all those things, you're just going to just not have trust that they're the
Yeah.
right company to spend your money with or to look
Yeah.
after you. So,
So there's a lot of missed opportunities. And I think something that people get wrong about this, they say, oh, well, my customers won't want to ring me. They'll want to fill out a form. And I think that's looking at it from a different perspective, I think, or the wrong perspective. I think what they're doing is they're saying that we want the form filled out,
correct.
not that their chosen way is to fill out the form. I think you have to say, if people call me, how am I going to make this the best service possible? If
Yeah.
people want to fill out the form, how am I going to make that the best experience possible? So they kind of say it's not one or the other, it's both working combined.
Choices,
And that's
isn't
where you
it?
get the
Yeah.
opportunity.
And I think you're so right. I didn't give you the other stat about the form. Like, if we all think, when was the last time? Now, I know the stat on this as well, and I know accountants love stats. So, on a website, we all know from our own website, because we have got a little contact us form on there. It's quite well buried because we know it's not engaged. People don't engage with contact forms. But wouldn't a perfect world be that everyone filled out a contacts form and everything dropped into an inbox? It was all filtered and we could all prioritize who does what, and then we get on with our day. It doesn't work like that because of GDPR. 0.4% of people will fill out a form.
Mm.
So all these websites have these big pages of a contact form.
Yeah.
People don't fill them out. When was the last time you filled out a contact us form?
Yeah. So I do, but that's because everything that I like has to be organised.
Okay, so you're in the 0.4.
Yeah. And it also depends on what type of businesses you're going after, what type of clients you're looking at, what type of marketing you do, how you drive into something, and the incentive you give in order to pick up the phone or to fill out the form.
Yeah.
So I think there's more that goes into it. But you're right. If you just have this contact button on your website on the menu, and that goes to a form, that form will never get filled out. If you make forms part of every landing page to say this is how you get in touch, you can call, you can fill out a form.
Yeah.
That's what's going to get the engagement. That's what's going to get filled out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, isn't it? So people think that phone calls are dying. People think that people are not picking up the phone. So what do you say to that?
Well, we commissioned a survey with Census Wide. I'm pulling this now. I'm digging deep because I wasn't bringing this. The Census Wide survey, we questioned 2,000 businesses, and they shared with us across different sectors. So there were finance accountants in there, a percentage of, but the the three top communication channels. So number one came out as the phone, number two came out as email, and number three is a chat. Because of the millennials, they don't want to pick up the phone, they won't fill out a contact us form because they don't trust you yet, and they're not very patient. So the third is the text chat. So if you haven't got that whole human thing in the bottom right hand corner saying chat now, and Kelly, we need to get it on your site after this, so that's an offline conversation. But when you're not working, or you've got a day off, or 6 o'clock you've down tools, it's somebody is in the moment, and we can't tell when someone's in the moment anymore because of hybrid flexi hours. If they're in the moment and it's a Thursday evening at 8 o'clock and they land on your website, and then there's that little smiley human, not a bot, a human, they're going to be quite impressed that, okay, they understand it's not going to be you, Kelly, because you are the owner and you are not working at 6 o'clock or whatever. But for them to speak to a colleague of Kelly to register their interest, then it does give them the wow.
Yeah, this is, once again, this is so missed. This is why you need to keep up with your website. These working hours and flexible working and working from different locations, this is like the problem and the benefit for you to stand out. It's both like, I'm not having words right now. Bear with me a second. If your website isn't up to date with these features, you will miss out on opportunities. If you are driving traffic to your website, if you're paying for ads and you're driving people to your website at any time of day and you don't have a way of capturing that information, you're just going to lose. Like, people will just browse, say good information, and then you'll go to the next Google search. And like you said, with the 78% of people, they'll just work with someone else.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's as simple as that. They'll do all their research and give the opportunity to someone else.
And in the accountancy world, if someone's been referred, then they may be a little bit more understanding because they've been recommended, referred, and they'll wait till the following day. Where it does give a huge impact is if it's somebody that wants to, maybe part qualified, recently qualified. There's a huge recruitment shortage, not just in finance, in every sector. So if you're not capturing those potential recruits, I'm putting my recruitment hat on now, but it's true. When I'm in the, not me personally, but when someone's in the moment to look for a job, it's usually on at 8 o'clock of an evening. It's a Saturday morning. Right, I'm going to apply for some jobs and I'm going to get a new role because I don't like the company I'm at or the boss I've got. So when a potential new recruit is in the moment, and if you've got that on your website to capture that new recruit, because they've got no loyalty, they haven't been referred to you, and they'll just go onto Google and they'll start reading company values, company culture, and then if there is a really nice human or a phone line that says we're open 8 a.m. till 8 p.m., they don't expect to speak to an accountant or even the person in HR or personnel. They just want to speak to a human and register their interest. So
get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
If they've done their action, ball's in your court, they can relax. As long as you follow up.
Yeah. Oh, the follow-up. Yeah. Here's another stat. Do you want this one? 21, hold on. You've got a 21 times higher to get the business if you respond within 5 minutes versus 30 minutes.
Now that I can definitely believe. We have no patience, no tolerance for waiting at all. On demand immediately. So yeah, that makes total sense.
5 minutes, that's all you've got. That window is...
Like you've got the loading times on your website. Like, nobody will wait for a website to load. If it doesn't load instantly, they're off again doing something else. So
checked out.
These little micro changes you can make to your business along the way that's going to add up into capturing all of the leads. You've probably got enough eyes on your business. You might not have the capacity to handle those leads, like capture those leads. That's an interesting point. And the benefit of using you guys, the leads part is there, but the time off and the time that you give back as well. This was an interesting point you made earlier. So small boat business owners, they don't take holidays. They can't afford to. So what happens there?
So it could be one or two things. We know a lot of our small business owners, micro businesses, they run their business in their mobile phone. That's their whole world. They take it everywhere with them. So the Moneypenny gives you a free app included in the service. So if you were going to have today off or this afternoon off, Kelly, you would go onto the app and you'd swipe calls to Moneypenny. And you would also put a little message in the little commentary box to say what you would like the Moneypenny people to say if someone rings. So it's truly bespoke. So you could put taking a day off, out with clients, in the hospital, whatever you want to say, traveling to buy a new car, whatever. You could put that little note, that commentary in there and hit save. So the following morning, you come in and you swipe calls back to me. So keep it really cost effective, keep it tight, because unless you want all calls going to Moneypenny, then obviously that's fine. But what it means then is when we take a call and you've switched off for an hour or 2 hours or a week, we're answering those calls, we're setting the expectation with the caller that you are not available today. But all of those messages are then in the app.
Right.
So although you've switched off, when you come in then on Monday, you can go, right, I'll just see who was trying to get hold of me on Friday. Okay, that's a priority. That can wait. And that is not anything I want to return.
And that doesn't go in the bin, sorry.
That's that's swipe left. So the app is a very valuable bit of tech that small business owners, they absolutely love it. When I was a client, we didn't have the app. So,
That sounds so easy. No, I don't want calls. This is the reason why. Done. Like off your plate. You can focus. I was speaking to somebody the other day, bless them, and they were on their way to hospital with their child, and they were still trying to work, and I had to say stop working, switch off, focus on that. Your business will still be around in a minute.
Yeah.
So that's the level of pressure. Obviously they love their child very much, and that's not in question, but the pressure to carry on working is intense.
Yeah. But we all know as well, don't we? When I was running my recruitment agency, if I was having a day off, I would think, I'm waiting for a decision if I've got this gig with this company. And so I would message Moneypenny and say, hey, if Richard Branson rings me and he says he wants me to recruit for him, you've got to put him through. Everybody else you can tell them that she's not around for the day or the week. So you can tell Moneypenny who you really need to call from, and everyone else can be told that message. So you can just chill and think, if that one person does ring, I know I can trust Moneypenny because she or he knows, and it's got to have that call transferred back to me, or
Talk to me then about, and I don't know how this is priced, but what can people expect when they use a service like this? I'm going to leave that open because I don't know how to answer it. I don't know what your pricing is like.
So it starts off at £45 a month. That's the entry level. And it depends on how many calls we answer for you. So the more calls we answer, the higher the next price plan. But it is flexible. We don't tie you in. So, as a business owner, you don't want to think, oh, God, that's 12 months of a contract. There's none of that. So we're there to support you as you grow. And it is as a business does grow, we would then be saying, listen, you need to move up to the next one because your overs. There's a tipping point to go to from 20 minutes a month to 50 to 100 and so on. So it's based on the number of calls, and they're converted into minutes that we're talking. And our average duration is about 80 seconds. But if we transfer a call through to an accountancy firm, because we've answered their main number and there's 12 people in the firm, we can transfer calls through. As soon as we've hit the transfer button, the clock stops. So the minutes are not for the duration of the phone call, because the accountant will be on for an hour. So it's just that sort of 60, 80 seconds where we're saying, good morning, ABC Accountancy. Oh, hi, John. Yeah, I'll put you through now.
So in which case, when somebody has a low call volume, but this might be a really valuable service to them still, is it still easy to keep up with that personal approach? So you would still know their customers, you would still be able to represent them in the way that they need to. Is that easy?
Yeah. So how we route their calls, we don't have, I mentioned there's 800 people in this building,
Mm.
and there's about 600 that are answering calls. We answer 52,000 calls per day.
That's a lot of talking.
However, what we don't do when the calls come in, we don't do what's called first agent available. They just don't go everywhere. They're routed to pockets of people. So each client has a lead receptionist. And that lead receptionist owns them and looks after them and is their go-to person and answers their calls. But that lead receptionist might have 20 clients that only maybe put one call a day or two calls a day or whatever it may be. So how we route it is they're in banks of 5. And our Twilio system, when the call comes in, it reads their availability. So it doesn't bounce around 1 ring, 2 rings, 10 rings. It just bursts into the available pocket of teams. So they really they keep that relationship, and the way the calls are routed, it's all very magical. But yeah.
It sounds like a neat operation. It's the words that are coming into my head. I don't know if that makes me sound really old. Who is neat anymore?
Neat. I don't know. You might bring that one back, Kelly.
I'm on it. I'm on it. And before I let you go, there is something else I wanted, and it's a slight change of topic I wanted to discuss with you. When you were talking at Accountex, you were explaining how you manage the accounting side. And then you have the other verticals as well, and they all have their own industry leader that will go out and champion them and go to the events and do the networking, the rapport building. So I think there is a lesson in here for potential for accountants to use this in theirs, because niching, which is what you've done very well, doesn't mean you can't work for different industries. So how does it work for you guys from a business perspective? What is your role when it comes to accounting, and how is that replicated with your colleagues?
Yeah, so and that has been part of the success, without a doubt. So we have, I think it's now 5 or 6 sector verticals. So what that means is, we really know their pain. Every sector has a different pain point or different language and the calls that come in. So what we don't want to do is, like I say, the first agent available, just throw everyone in the mix. And then you're not really an expert in any sector. So that was important many years ago when Ed and Rachel co-founded the business, to have these different sector verticals for clients to then fall into. And we're the same, aren't we? Like when I wanted an accountant, I wanted an accountant that had other recruitment agencies as clients.
Yeah.
And the one that I went to had none. And I should have seen that as a bit of a red flag. But anyway, but I was thinking, no, well, accounting is all the same, isn't it? And then when I was talking to them about my pain points, they were like, oh, really? Oh, is that what happens? Oh, that's a shame. Oh, so I need...
Constantly educating them on your problems.
Yeah, so I need somebody in my camp that knew that what my industry was. Not an expert, I just need a little slice of knowledge. So
especially when you're talking about things like temp work, and you need the cash flow, and you need to be able to have it in the bank before you can pay them because it doesn't come in time. Yeah, so if they didn't know about that would be a real, it would be, what's the word, not detrimental, that's too extreme, but it would be a challenge for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't pretend we're experts, but what we do know is that because we've got hundreds and hundreds of similar size, similar sector. So if we can't do an amazing job with the way that we structure that, then I don't know who could.
Language changes as well. Somebody calling an accountant might say, I haven't had my management report. And if you don't know the terms management reports, then you might appear like, oh, well, what is that? Whereas you could say, okay, no problem, well, you're going to need to speak to this person, I would imagine.
Yeah, we keyword management report. So our system tells us, we can put audit, we can put tax, management report, and we keyword, and then that tells us who in the company would take that call from us. But it's true, because we mystery shop other providers, and there's plenty out there. And when I ring and pretend I'm an accountant, and I
go on the phone again pretending.
love a bit of make believe and let's role play. But I find that when I've rang and someone, a first agent, will answer, and I go, "Oh, I'd like to speak to someone about becoming a client because I get a lot of audit calls or a lot of tax calls," and then you hear the person on the end of the phone go, "Tax." Audit, and you can hear their brain thinking, "What's an audit?" Whereas here we'll go, "Oh, you need to speak about an audit. Yeah, I'll put you through." Like in our legal sector, "Oh, you need to speak to somebody about conveyancing. Yeah, I can get you through to the right team, whatever that may be."
Yeah, this is where you start to set yourself apart, I think, and this is what I found really interesting. And I don't know accountants that do this, and it's just an idea of mine. But to hub it together in these industry types means that you can have all of the benefit of this really tight niche without having to actually niche your practice. Like just putting heads of departments in, like it makes so much logical sense to me. I feel like we've come to the end of the show already. Like I always run over. I say this is always like 20 minutes, half hour, and like it never is. So you know the last question I'm going to ask you, Louise. What is the sexiest thing about accountants?
Well, before this call, I went on to chat GPT and asked the question. Do you want to know the answer?
Yes,
I put, "What is the sexiest thing about accountants?" And the answer is, attraction varies from person to person. So what one finds sexy about an accountant may differ from someone else. However, some people might find qualities such as intelligence, tick, attention to detail, tick, financial responsibility, tick, and a professional demeanour attractive in accountants. Ultimately, it depends on your values and preferences. So I would probably pick out of that intelligence.
Yeah. So there's a word for that.
Go on.
Sapiosexuality.
Say again.
Sapiosexuality is when you're attracted to intelligence.
I've learned it. I've learned something, Kelly.
There you are. I did a presentation once that was about accountants being sexual. No, that's not right. Sexy. It's probably a better way of putting that. And I used that as a title, sapiosexuality. So there you are.
Love it.
Right. Louise, it's been a pleasure getting to know you on this chat. I know that we've had a brief meeting before, but it's lovely to spend some real time with you. I want people to get in touch with you, and I want people to look you up. I think LinkedIn is where you spend some time.
Yeah.
So we will add a link to Moneypenny and a link to Louise as well. So please go check them out. If you do have calls, if you're not responding to them, if you're getting attention on your website but it's not converting, maybe this is a good place to improve your process. So I will leave it there. Thank you very much, Louise, and I'll see everyone next week.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Bye. Bye.